Good afternoon and welcome everybody to this session of PACAC's Keystone Virtual College Exploration Fair. Thanks very much for joining. I'm pleased today to take you to a session on opportunities in Ireland. If you'll bear with me for just a second, I'm going to share my screen before I hand it over to our experts. Right. And here we go. So welcome to the Virtual College Exploration. Attendees, if you would like to ask a question, please do use the question and answer button, not the chat button. Your camera and your microphone are off. You are muted and so the panelists cannot see or hear you. So it is important, if you do have some questions, please take advantage of that Q&A feature. I welcome you also to sign up for more sessions and to review presentations that have gone on the previous days. You can check out the schedule through www.pacac.org/virtual, and that's where the recordings will be available, as well as being able to see all of the wonderful sessions that lie ahead. And with that, I'm going to once again thank our panelists. It was lovely chatting with all of you, and I look forward to hearing your presentation as well. And take it away.
All right, well, thank you again for joining us. My name is Maggie Cardosi, and I represent University College Cork in Ireland. And I'm joined today by two of my wonderful colleagues, who I'm going to let them introduce themselves first.
Hi, I'm Kendall Hook, and I'm with the University College Dublin.
Hi, I'm Niamh Kavanagh, and I'm from the University of Limerick.
Cool. So, and we are going to talk to you today a little bit about studying in Ireland, the benefits, why it might be interesting to you. And we're also going to talk to you just a little bit about each of our individual universities. So I'm going to hand it over to Niamh first to talk about why you might consider studying in Ireland.
Hi, everyone. Big welcome, or Céad Míle Fáilte from Ireland. I hope you're all keeping well and safe over there. So some of the massive benefits for studying in Ireland is we are hugely friendly and massively welcoming, as you can tell. International students choose to come to us because of our high level of education. We are globally connected and we have massive industry. So all of the different universities around Ireland have different career opportunities that link with massive multinational companies from around the world. We are the only English-speaking country in Ireland, or in Europe, thanks to England exiting with Brexit, which puts us very high up in the map, which makes it easier for you guys to adjust when coming, so you don't have to worry about speaking French or German or anything like that. We may have a little bit of a different twang, but it is the same, which is really important. One of the real reasons why a lot of American students love to come to Ireland is to experience the culture. We really do have a magnificent, friendly environment and loads of things for students to do. And as I mentioned about the international education system, one thing to really remember is that all of our degrees in all of the universities are internationally recognized. And that's due to us having such an amazing education system that has been built on for many years. And if you're very, very lucky, you might even get the opportunity once COVID is over to come and visit us and check out the different campuses and everything that we have to offer. So on that, to keep things moving, I'm going to hand it over to my wonderful colleagues. Maggie, I think you're up next.
Yep, I'm up. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about undergraduate degrees in Ireland and kind of what the structure looks like, and kind of what to expect. So I think a common misconception about degrees abroad and maybe degrees in Ireland is that they are completely different from American style degrees, won't be recognized, and are just structured very differently. That's, like I said, it's a misconception. So our academic year actually runs pretty parallel to what you would expect in the United States. So for the most part, we start in September. The first semester goes from September to mid to late December, and then second semester, spring semester, would go from mid-January to late April or early May. So very similar to what you would be used to over here. Our programs are very focused, so that is actually one difference. They tend to be direct entry programs, so you do need to kind of have a good idea about what you're going to study or what you'd like to study prior to application. Although there are some notable exceptions to that rule, which I think Kendall will probably mention a little bit later. But with kind of in general, we do have all of the subjects that you can expect to find at a university in the United States, everything from arts and humanities like English and politics to business to really excellent options within the STEM field. So engineering, earth and environmental sciences, chemical sciences, physical sciences, computer science, even food science can be done with us, and even medical sciences as well. So for those of you that are very keen on potentially entering into medicine, whether it's human medicine, veterinary medicine, or dentistry, those are options that you can do direct from high school in Ireland. Non-medical options do tend to be either 3 or 4 years. The 3-year options are because we're very focused, but we also offer 4-year options that include either study abroad or work placement / internships for students. And then kind of within our courses, so I did mention that you do need to have a pretty good idea of what you'd like to study. But say you're just kind of generally interested in sciences, there can be some flexibility within that option. So you can either opt to do a single honors course in one specific subject, or maybe do a joint honors course in a related field. The only caveat to that would be is that we don't offer double majors across different subjects. So while you might be able to double major in, say, English and biology at a school in the United States, that's really not something that you can do in Ireland. So we would encourage you to do your research and look at your options ahead of application so that you are applying for a degree that you're truly passionate about. All right, Kendall, if you want to talk about the application process.
Sure. So to go through some logistics, you obviously need to know how to apply. First and foremost, it's important to note that Ireland in general will primarily focus on your academics. So not necessarily recommendations or lengthy essays. Although some programs might require that, we're really going to focus more on your GPA, standardized test scores, AP scores, etc. As Maggie mentioned, academics in Ireland are more focused, and so you will be applying to a specific discipline or a specific program. So that means that application requirements by program will vary. So it's important to look on each school's website to see what types of requirements or standards are typical for each program you may be interested in. There are 2 different ways to apply. You can always apply directly to the university's website, and then some international universities and some in Ireland are included on the Common App as well.
All right, so I'm going to talk about fees and finances now. And I think, a lot of people do think that international education is overwhelmingly expensive and not affordable, but that really isn't the case. So on average, and this is across all of the universities in Ireland, so just kind of note that tuition and cost of living does vary kind of from program to program and city to city, similar to how it would in the United States. But on average, total cost of attendance is about $38,000 US per year. So in comparison to some other out-of-state options that students, maybe in Pennsylvania or elsewhere might be looking at, like Ohio State, University of Delaware, University of Michigan, this is a pretty affordable option. It's on par with what you might receive, or even better. And there are tuition scholarships available at our different universities. So, they might be based on your GPA, or there might be, other criteria that we look for. But, the same sort of kind of funding options or, kind of merit scholarships would be available. But again, they do vary from university to university. So, please do reach out to the representatives individually so they can kind of, advise you through what those options look like. Some schools in Ireland also are eligible to receive FAFSA aid in terms of loans, as well as U.S. Veterans benefits. So 2 really great resources, or one great resource that we would encourage you to take a look at would be the US federal aid website, because there is a list of schools that participate in the direct loan program who are located outside of the US. So, you know, if you're considering using loans to fund your education, you can look and see, you know, which schools would accept that, that funding.
So I'm going to chat to you a little bit about campus life and what to expect when you come to Ireland. And this is one of the really fun topics that I get to talk about. So it's really important that you obviously do a lot of research into your academics and everything like that. But one thing you also want to look at is what there is to do socially outside the classroom, because it's really important for you to have that outlet so that you're able to unwind and relax and also enjoy college life. In Ireland, we have a magnificent campus life across all the different universities. And the reason for that is that there's a huge focus on clubs and societies, and they're available to all students. Like, I know in the US, you know, if you want to play American football, you kind of have to be, you know, really strong coming out of high school. And, you know, for top soccer players, you know, the opportunity to play at college level might not be there, but it's different in Ireland. Sports and different things, it's all about participation and getting involved. And our student unions in all of our universities will organise the different clubs and socks around the place. For myself, I was quite sporty. I joined a lot of sports clubs, but I also then joined the Tea Appreciation Society, because I'm your typical Irish person that will have the cup of tea every hour on the hour as you go through the day. It's hugely important. And like, one of the things that we always say here is that you never have a problem as long as you sit down and discuss it over a cup of tea. So there's loads of different things and opportunities. And to be fair, that's where you're going to meet your best friends. It really is. When you go to university, join as many clubs and societies and get involved in campus life. I'm really excited to get things back going. And there is multiple different supports then available on campus as well. When you talk, you know, we talk a lot about the fun stuff, but we have to remember that all of our universities have doctors, nurses, counselors, you know, special academic tutorials. We'll have maths centers if you're struggling in your maths. We'll have English language centers. We'll have all different academic. And then we have like peer-to-peer support. We do buddy programs. We have international student societies. We all do trips away for our international students. So there really is loads for you to do, and to make sure that, you know, when you're looking at university, as Maggie and Kendall have mentioned, you know, do the research on your academic side, but also check out some of the clubs and some of the fun stuff that they do on campus, because it really is, you know, a huge part of your college life going forward. So I'm going to hand you over now to the next.
Sure. So as you may have noticed on the very first slide, all of Ireland's universities are ranked within the top 1 to 2% of universities worldwide. And with that comes, every campus has a robust career services department. So that can include workshops, job placements, help with internships, etc. So when you go to Ireland, you will come back with a degree that means something. So you'll have the full spectrum of career opportunities open to you in the US as if you got a degree here. Dublin and Cork are are hubs of major European headquarters. So you'll find Google headquarters, Facebook, LinkedIn, Airbnb. They all have major offices in Ireland, which provides a ton of opportunities for networking and job placements. So that's a pretty cool aspect of coming to school in Ireland. We also have alumni networks. All of our schools have alumni that come from all over the world. So between the alumni networks and the career services department, there is really helpful tools and resources to network for employability after graduation. And then lastly, a pretty unique scheme that Ireland has is a student stay back visa. So if you receive your degree in Ireland, you have the opportunity to stay for up to 2 years for employment after graduation.
So if this all sounds good to you, we hope you continue to stick around because we're going to each talk a little bit about our universities and what makes them unique. And I think we're a good bunch because we each represent universities with different strengths, and we're also located in very different areas around Ireland. So yeah, we'll just spend a couple minutes talking about each of our schools, and I'll give it the start here. So again, I'm Maggie. I represent University College Cork. I'm based in the New York City area, and I look after everybody in the United States. So if you have questions, I'll have my contact info up. But UCC is located in the south of Ireland. So we're a little bit outside of Cork City, probably about a 10-minute walk from the heart of the city center in Cork, in a really beautiful area, and an area with a lot of historic significance, both in Ireland and throughout the rest of the world. So Cork City is actually very close to the port called Cove, used to be called Queenstown, and that was kind of the historic departure point for immigrants leaving Ireland to head to the United States. So for those of you with Irish American heritage, your ancestors may very well have come from very close to where Cork and UCC are located. UCC is, we're ranked in one of the top 2% schools worldwide. So again, as we've been talking about, a degree with us means something wherever you want to take it in the world. And we have a lot of different program fields that you can study. So arts, humanity, and social sciences, sciences, computer science and engineering, business law, and then health sciences as well. I would say that we're particularly strong in areas like archaeology, anthropology, and food science. So if you are a foodie, Cork is the place to be. We love studying food, and we love eating and creating food too. One thing that I think makes UCC particularly special is our commitment to environmentalism and sustainability. So we were actually selected as the world's first green campus because of our commitment to this. So if you are very concerned about the climate, about the world around you, those same concerns will be shared by your peers and your instructors at UCC. Our campus, like I said, is about 10 to 15 minutes walking from Cork, and walkability is one of my favorite things about Cork. You can walk everywhere, which I love. We have about 22,000 students total, and around 3,300, or about 15%, are from outside of Ireland. So you will be in good company, and there will be plenty of things for you to do. We talked about extracurriculars. We have over 100. I definitely recommend our International Student Society, because you not only get to meet students from Ireland and outside of Ireland, but you get to travel all around Ireland for free or very low cost. So that's a little bit about Cork. I'm going to hand it over to Kendall to talk to you a little bit about UCD.
Thanks, Maggie. My name is Kendall Hook, and I am with the University College Dublin. I'm actually based in Manhattan along with Maggie in the New York area, and I'm happy that you guys could be here today. A little bit about UCD. We are a large research institution located about 2.5 miles south of Dublin city center in a more residential area. So we have about 30,000 students, of which 7,000 plus are international students. So that is almost 30% of our student population. We have so many different degree programs, 70 undergrad degrees plus. A to Z, architecture to zoology. I would say some of the most popular include biology, English literature, agriculture, vet medicine. But I want to highlight specifically the liberal arts and sciences program. As we mentioned earlier, you typically have to apply directly into a program and know what you want to pursue in your undergrad degree, but UCD has a pretty unique program that builds in a year of flexibility if you are undecided. So you can curate a year of classes with an advisor between a couple different subjects, and then at the end of your first year, decide what you would want to pursue for your second, third, and fourth year. We are ranked in the top 1% of universities worldwide, and #1 in Ireland for graduate employability. You know, with all the other Irish campuses, we have so many clubs and organizations, and with 30,000 students, there's going to be a club or a student society for everyone. So some of the most active include the International Student Society, the Drama Society, many of the performing arts groups. So there's definitely something for everyone at UCD.
So, hi everyone, I'm Niamh Kavanagh. I'm a little bit further away than Kendall and Maggie. I'm actually based here in Limerick in Ireland at the moment. And similar to the Maggie and Kendall, the University of Limerick has multiple different programs to offer, ranging from arts, humanities, social sciences, business, law, performing arts. We have a fantastic performing arts program with the Irish World Academy. I absolutely love it. The building's just amazing. I really am in love with it. You could walk by it and you'll hear Irish music and you'll see the dancers out practicing all the time. We have over 170 different degree options at both undergrad and postgrad for students. But for me at the University of Limerick, the one thing that I love the most about it is we have a real sense, it's a real community. It's kind of like you have the university community, but we have the local community in Limerick that use the campus all the time. We're about 3 miles outside the city centre in Limerick. And what it means is that a lot of the community come and walk this magnificent walkway from the city centre out to the campus along the River Shannon, which is the largest river in Ireland. And what that means is there's always people around and it's really engaging and there's always stuff to do. That's one of the big things that I love about it. But it's also led to us being #1 in the world for international student happiness, because the students feel that real friendly vibe and that real sense of home when they're here. And then we also, similar to my colleagues, we have multiple different clubs and societies and student activities, and we're lucky enough that we are #1 in the globe for student activity thanks to the International Student Eye Barometer. For us, a real focus is to graduate employability, and we're very fortunate that we have a 97% graduate employability rate, and that's because of the embedded internships in all of our undergraduate programs. We also have the largest Erasmus exchange program, which is a European, kind of like a study abroad experience, but it's funded by the European Union, so it's free for you to go on exchange to England or France or Germany or somewhere like that, and we'll also give you a stipend to do it. We have wonderful sports facilities, and we have a magnificent campus that's based over 400 hectares of land. So you kind of feel like you're in an urban campus, but you still have all the amazing facilities of a city right next door. And we like to call ourselves the gateway to the West. So we're probably the third largest city in Ireland, but it is the closest to all the other cities. So it's like 2 hours to Dublin, an hour and a half down to Cork, an hour to Galway. So we're very central. So if you do want to tour around Ireland, it's a great location to base yourself out of, and also to get down to some really nice beaches on the West Coast, or to go up and see Connemara and really experience some Irish traditional stuff. But similar to the rest of the guys, it's very easy to apply. And if you want any more information, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I think we're kind of going to open it up to questions and answers. Is it, Maggie? Is that what's next?
Yeah. So right there, that's our contact information. So I'm going to leave that there for you. So if you have any individual questions about our particular universities or anything we've talked about, feel free to give us a shout. And right now we would love to take your questions. So go ahead and put those in the Q&A, and we've got a few more minutes, so we can take a few. I think I might actually start us off and see if either Niamh or Kendall, maybe you could talk a little bit about the elephant in the room right now, which I think might be kind of COVID related questions, and how has Ireland dealt with COVID an educational perspective, and are international students still coming to Ireland and still welcome in Ireland right now? Niamh, I saw you answer, or I saw you raise your hand.
Kendall, if you don't mind, since I'm here, so we were actually waiting on news today. We've had in Ireland, we're very lucky. We've managed the COVID situation quite well. We do have a small spike because it is coming into the winter months, but a lot of international students, and especially a lot of Americans, actually originally stayed last March when we went into full lockdown. So they had the opportunity to return home or stay in Ireland, and they chose to stay. And all of the Irish universities, we all made sure that our international students that did stay had access to food, had access to supports on campus. You know, all of us individually checked in with all of our different student cohorts during the lockdown and during the last couple of months, and we all had new American students arrive onto our campuses just over 3, maybe 4 weeks ago. Now we did have restricted movements for them for the first 2 weeks as per government guidelines, but they are all settling in quite well. I know that each of us are individually doing different activities with them. I myself was down with my undergraduate US students on Saturday. We did a pizza picnic out in the front garden out in front of what we call the White House. We have a traditional Irish house because the campus was originally a farm, and we did a big socially distance, wearing our masks and took them off to eat some pizza. But yeah, no, it's been doing quite well, and a lot of the education is a hybrid model, so it's a mix between online and face-to-face teaching, and that varies depending on what level the government put us into in terms of our national COVID regulations. So at the moment, some programs are all online and some are hybrid, where science and engineering students are in doing practical stuff while some of the art students are completely online, and that will change depending on which level the government moves us to. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Neve. I don't have anything to add to that. I think that you really summed it up quite well.
Yeah.
One thing actually that I hear quite a lot, when I'm at fairs or, just talking to people in general, is this question around kind of the transition from, coming from the United States to Ireland, and, what are maybe some hurdles or challenges that US students, have faced or, maybe should think about, just kind of considering, before they jump on that plane.
Kendall, do you want to go with that one? What do you reckon? Or Maggie, I'll let you guys, since you can kind of you've jumped on the plane and come across for a little while.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of adjustments that students have to make coming into college, but many of the adjustments that you have to make going to Ireland are similar to the adjustments that you would experience going to college in the U.S. as well. Going to Ireland is closer to the East Coast than flying to California. So really it's not necessarily distance as much as it is just the transition from high school to college. Something that I have heard a lot from students, this is very particular, so you guys can chime in with other examples. But I think culturally it's much more common for Irish students to cook for themselves. We're in the US, we're very used to meal plans. So I think that is definitely an adjustment for students, but I think that kind of starts the growth and the independence that inherently comes with studying abroad internationally. So I think that's probably one that I hear most often, honestly, from students is that cultural difference, and learning how to boil a pot of water and and everything that comes with that.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think, the same types of, bumps in the road that, or growing pains, I guess is maybe a better way to put it, that you would experience anywhere you go, whether you are, 45 minutes up the road from your house or a 6-hour plane ride. I think those are the same type of challenges that you can expect to face. So that first little bit of independence, like, learning to cook for yourself or figuring out how to do laundry, or just becoming used to not always having, mom, dad, granny, counselor or teacher over your shoulder asking you and kind of keeping track of you and making sure you've done your homework and read your assignments and things. I think university life in Ireland is much more independent. So when it comes to your classes, it may not be likely that you're going to have like a quiz or a paper or some type of assignment every week. You have your reading list for the semester or for the class, and then you have maybe one midterm paper and then an exam at the end of the year that's going to count for the bulk of your marks. So I think it's just getting used to really fully becoming an independent person, maybe a little bit faster than you might have to do at a US university. Neve, do you have anything you want to add to that, or anything you've kind of heard from American students you've been talking to?
No, I think you really have hit the nail on the head. In terms of just kind of getting used to becoming a bit more of an adult sooner, and like just getting used to the kind of the Irish way. We can be a little bit laid back sometimes, a little bit horizontal when it comes to like timetabling and scheduling. You know, a lot of people kind of be like, oh, my paper's due, and a lot of Irish students be like, it'll be fine, it'll be okay, it'll get done next week. You know, some students have struggled with that very kind of horizontal approach sometimes. I think you might agree with that, but we tend to not stress about things. Things get fixed. Yeah.
Which is great, which is a reason why you should consider coming to Ireland, because it's so laid back and friendly.
Yeah.
You know, although I could maybe like an opposite question, because it has to do with kind of deadlines and things. One thing we didn't really talk about in the presentation was how we handle application deadlines, because there's a very specific kind of structure and culture here in the US around early decision, early action, rolling admission, things like that. So like maybe starting with Neve and then Kendall and then I'll go, we can talk a little bit about how admissions deadlines and that process runs at our school.
So we have a very easy, open, rolling admissions. We're open on the Common App right now for you to be able to apply, and we generally have an answer back to you within 2 to 3 weeks. And then from there, you'll see on your offer letter whether, you know, to pay a deposit by a certain date. But we extend those dates all the time. We don't put students under pressure, because it's really important for us to make sure that the decision you're making to commit to us is the right one for you. So don't ever feel pressured. And I think that comes from all of us. It's really important because it's such a big decision to move across the Atlantic, or even to move across the United States from Pennsylvania across to California. You know, you really need time to think about it. But we don't close our applications until the 1st of July. But even after the 1st of July, if you are still considering it or want to apply to us, we will accept applications right up until, from the US, until at least August time, because you don't need a visa to get into Ireland. That's a really big thing. You can travel to Ireland without having to apply to travel for international student travel. So we can accept your application right up until August and get you enrolled for the following September. It actually happened last year with Isabel, one of our American students. She applied mid-August and we got her started in September. So don't feel, you know, God, big massive deadlines for Ireland. It is very, very open, and we communicate with all of our students all the time. So Kendall, I'll let you chat about UCD.
Yeah, that was very well said. The only thing that I would add are just UCD specifics. We are on the Common App, and that opened October 1st, so accepting there. And we are rolling admission until July 1st. I would say on average, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to turn around a decision. But we do have some big scholarship deadlines that are due in February, and you have to have an offer to be able to apply to those scholarships. So we would recommend applying by December 1st as our quote priority deadline if you're interested in those scholarships. But it's not binding, it's not early action. It's really just to get your application in and receive an offer, so you're eligible for those scholarship applications in February.
And UCC's process is pretty close to, I think, what Neve described at UL. We're rolling admission, and it takes about, I'd say, 3 to 5 weeks on average to get a decision back. What is a little bit different about us is that, so right now we are not on the Common App, although that could change. So if you're a junior or a sophomore right now, watch this space, we'll see. Right now it's just a direct application, and we do open up a little bit later in the cycle. So our undergraduate applications won't open until December, but I think that's a good thing. It gives you a little bit of time to do your research and kind of think about the programs you'd like to apply to, and also really get yourself settled into the first half of your senior year, and be able to apply with a robust as possible transcript and recommendation letters and things like that. But yeah, I think also I just wanted to touch on kind of what Neve said. I think especially now, so we kind of talked about how Ireland laid back, flexible, welcoming environment. With COVID, I think with our application cycle in this last year, that's definitely reflected. So we have done our best to evaluate things on a case-by-case basis. If you're missing any piece of your application, please do reach out to us and ask what that's going to mean, because we very likely would be able to offer some flexibility on that. I know, like, one of our students who just started last week, he didn't apply until I think mid-August. Like, his plans changed and we were able to open up the course application for him. And as far as I know, he's happy as a clam on campus right now. But yeah, I think especially in these times, don't be afraid to reach out to us and ask questions, just because, one university does things in one way, or, you see something, on the website, still go ahead and ask the question, because we might be able to offer you some degree of flexibility.
Maggie, just to jump in on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, for UCC and UCD, you don't actually have to have taken the SATs or ACTs to apply for UL anyway. And I think that's the same for UCD and UCC. But you'll get what's called a conditional offer letter. So the conditions will be pending you achieving an SAT or ACT grade before fully committing to the university. It allows you that flexibility, and especially given COVID times, we know that a lot of current seniors are, rushing to get those taken before applying. So you don't have to worry about that. You can apply, and we'll give you a letter that says you have a place at the University of Limerick pending you, or, UCC or UCD, pending you achieving the SAT or ACT score that's related to the program that you're applying to. And I think 90% of the offer letters that we give out to the US undergraduate students are conditional anyway, because it's always going to be pending you completing your high school degree. And Maggie and Kendall, you might jump in and just say if it's any different in your schools, but that's how it would run generally in UL. No, we're all good, all good. So yeah, no, just so that takes that little bit of pressure off you, so that you don't have to worry about, God, I don't have them taken, I can't apply yet. You can easily put in the application if it's ready to go in, or you can wait till you have it. The best thing about it is that I'm just trying to get across, there's no pressure.
Definitely. And actually, I think we still have a couple more minutes. So kind of on the subject of testing, we didn't really talk about kind of APs or SAT2 exams. How do our universities look at those scores, and then maybe how do we treat transfer AP credit? We want each maybe take a second to talk about that. Kendall or Neve, I'll let you go first.
Go for Kendall.
So for transfer and AP credit, it's a bit different. AP credit won't necessarily take the place of a class at UCD, but it will be factored into your admissions decision. So if you have taken AP classes, UCD in particular can accept up to 3 AP test scores that factor into your overall admissions decision. For transfer credit, we get transfer students all the time. I would recommend applying as usual, and then afterwards you submit for what's called recognition of prior learning, and that will evaluate whether or not some of your transfer credits can transfer over and fulfill requirements of your new degree program. Where I think it can be a little bit tricky is that we don't really have general education requirements like you do in the US. So it's very possible, but that some of those credits may not transfer. If you're going into a science program, for example, you might not necessarily need that English class that you had taken that first year. Or if you're going into English Lit, then you may not need that maths class that you took your first year. So it really depends on what you are planning on studying in Ireland. And that transfer credit is most likely going to apply if it directly corresponds with your program of study.
Go on, Maggie, you go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, it's very similar in UCC. So, you know, there are particular programs that might require advanced level courses for you to qualify for them. I'm thinking particularly like in our STEM courses, they might ask for, you know, a math or a lab science. So we do like to see APs for that, although again, with the whole flexibility thing, if you don't have that, that doesn't completely preclude you from admission to those programs. Very similar to UCD, you know, AP credit would not necessarily transfer over because, you know, our degree programs are very focused. We don't have general education requirements. So, you know, while your APs are going to, you know, may likely influence the decision that's made with regard to your admission to a particular program, you won't likely be able to transfer that credit over. But if you're coming in as, you know, a second year student, you know, maybe you've done a year at university or you've done some dual enrollment courses, you know, you still need to apply as a first year student. And then, you know, if you're very, you know, we can kind of take the conversation from there if there's a significant amount of credit that you're looking to have recognized by your particular program or university.
Yep, and we're the exact same at the University of Limerick. It runs, you know, depending on the program that you're applying to, we may look for certain APs. Like I know for our applied languages, we'll either look for you to have significant, you know, French 1, French 2, French 3, French 4. So kind of from sophomore or freshman year right up to senior year, or else having 3 years with an AP or 2 years with an AP. So those sort of things are the exact same as UCC and UCD. And then the same with the transfer, how that works, it depends on the program, and you'd apply for first year and then we'd try and see if we could offset some of the credits coming through. Yeah.
And I actually don't think that we touched on this, but when it comes to admission requirements in Ireland, we're very transparent about what we're looking for. So each of our universities are going to have dedicated pages with entry requirements related to the program that you're looking into. So you can, you know, Google it, have a look, and see exactly what you need to, you know, get into engineering at UCD or English literature at UL or government and politics at UCC, whatever it is, and know, you know, be very sure about what you're looking at. There's no situation, we really don't have this culture of looking at other things outside of your academics on your application. So I think kind of with that, we have just like couple minutes left before we need to let you all go. Maybe if we just want to share like one final thought about studying in Ireland or studying at our university before we sign off.
Maggie, that's a really good one. So one thing I'm going to hit on is the Irish education system. So what a lot of you obviously wouldn't know is the reason why the Irish education system is so highly regarded around the world is because we actually rely on the Irish people to grow the economy, because we don't have massive exports. So that's why a lot of big multinational companies come and set up in Ireland, like Google, Facebook, Johnson & Johnson, Dell, all those big IT firms, is because the Irish people and the people that study here in Ireland, you know, international students as well, are so highly educated that we're able to manage the workload that those multinational companies need. So just bear in mind that when you do come here, you are going to get one of the top quality educations that is available around the world. And the Irish government have really invested in it heavily because we need it to be able to sustain our economy. So that's just something that people don't think about. And the best way I can describe that is my grandfather never went to secondary school and was put out to work at age 11 to work on the bog, which is a natural kind of farming land here in Ireland. My mum went to high school and did a little bit of college. And then myself, my brother, my sister all have master's degrees, because that's the level of focus that the Irish government has put on education for us to be able to survive as a nation. So you will get a top quality education here.
Gosh, my final thought, I would probably say that you wouldn't feel alone at any of our universities. There are so many international students all across the entire country, thousands, that you're going to find your niche. You're going to find a lot of support services on campus, across all campuses, that really support you and your well-being. And I think every Irish university really looks after all of their international students very well.
Yes, and I would say we are called the land of the welcomes for a reason. So you will be welcomed, you'll be taken care of, and you know, we hope that we see you soon. So thanks so much for listening, and yeah, we hope to continue the conversation on in the future.
All right, well, thank you very, very, very much, folks. I'm going to share my screen one more time just to share some final details before we close with attendees. And that is our sincere thanks for having you join us today. We hope you learned something about the opportunities for education and beyond in Ireland. When we close this link, there will be a quick survey that pops up. It's just a 4-question post, pretty easy to get through. I encourage you to sign up for more sessions, and certainly if you are interested in this recording, share with family, friends, review. It's going to be available again through www.pacac.org/virtual. Thank you again, panelists. It was great to learn about Ireland. I'm ready to go. Take care.